Ezra by Ginzberg. The complete resettlement of Palestine took place under the direction of Ezra, or, as the scriptures sometimes call him, Malachi. 33. He had not been present at the earlier attempts, 34, to restore the sanctuary, because he could not leave his old teacher Baruch, who was too advanced in years to venture upon the difficult journey to the Holy Land. 35. In spite of Ezra's persuasive efforts, it was but a comparatively small portion of the people that joined the procession winding its way westward to Palestine. For this reason, the prophetical spirit did not show itself during the existence of the Second Temple. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi were the last representatives of prophecy. 36. Nothing was more surprising than the apathy of the Levites. They manifested no desire to return to Palestine. Their punishment was the loss of the tithes, which were later given to the priest, though the Levites had the first claim upon them. 37. In restoring the Jewish state in Palestine, Ezra cherished two hopes: to preserve the purity of the Jewish race, and to spread the study of the Torah until it should become the common property of the people at large. To help on his first purpose, he inveighed against marriages between the Jews and the nations round about. 38. He himself had carefully worked out his own pedigree before he consented to leave Babylonia. 39. And in order to perpetuate the purity of the families and groups remaining in the East, he took all the unfit, 40, with him to Palestine. In the realization of his second hope, the spread of the Torah, Ezra was so zealous and efficient that it was justly said of him, "If Moses had not anticipated him, Ezra would have received the Torah." 41. In a sense he was, indeed, a second Moses. The Torah had fallen into neglect and oblivion in his day, and he restored and reestablished it in the minds of his people. 42. It is due to him chiefly that it was divided up into portions, to be read annually, Sabbath after Sabbath, in the synagogues. 43. And he it was, likewise, who originated the idea of rewriting the Pentateuch in Assyrian characters. 44. To further his purpose still more, he ordered additional schools for children to be established everywhere, though the old ones sufficed to satisfy the demand. He thought the rivalry between the old and the new institutions would redound to the benefit of the pupils. 45. Ezra is the originator of institutions known as the 10 Regulations of Ezra. They are the following: 1. Readings from the Torah on Sabbath afternoons. 2. Readings from the Torah on Mondays and Thursdays. 3. Sessions of the court on Mondays and Thursdays. 4. To do laundry work on Thursdays, not Fridays. 5. To eat garlic on Friday on account of its salutary action. 46. 6. To bake bread early in the morning, that it may be ready for the poor whenever they ask for some. 7. Women are to cover the lower parts of their bodies with a garment called sinar. 47. 8. Before taking a ritual bath, the hair is to be combed. 9. The ritual bath prescribed for the unclean is to cover the case of one who desires to offer prayer or study the law. 48. 10. Permission to peddlers to sell cosmetics to women in the towns. 49. Ezra was not only a great teacher of his people and their wise leader, he was also their advocate with the celestials, to whom his relation was of a peculiarly intimate character. Once he addressed a prayer to God, in which he complained of the misfortune of Israel and the prosperity of the heathen nations. Thereupon, the angel Uriel appeared to him and instructed him how that evil has its appointed time in which to run its course, as the dead have their appointed time to sojourn in the nether world. Ezra could not rest satisfied with this explanation, and in response to his further question, 7 prophetic visions were vouchsafed him and interpreted by the angel for him. They typified the whole course of history up to his day and disclosed the future to his eyes. In the 7th vision, he heard a voice from a thorn bush, like Moses aforetimes, and it admonished him to guard in his heart the secrets revealed to him. The same voice had given Moses a similar injunction: "These words shalt thou publish, those shalt thou keep secret." Then his early translation from earth was announced to him. He besought God to let the Holy Spirit descend upon him before he died, so that he might record all that had happened since the creation of the world as it was set down in the Torah, and guide men upon the path that leads to God. Hereupon God bade him take the 5 experienced scribes, Sarga, Dabria, Selusha, Ethan, and Azil, with him into retirement, and dictate to them for 40 days. After 1 day spent with these writers in isolation, remote from the city and from men, a voice admonished him, Ezra, open thy mouth, and drink whereof I give thee to drink. He opened his mouth, and a chalice was handed to him, filled to the brim with a liquid that flowed like water, but in color resembled fire. His mouth opened to drink, and for 40 days it was not closed. During all that time, the 5 scribes put down, in signs they did not understand. They were the newly adopted Hebrew characters, all that Ezra dictated to them, and it made 94 books. At the end of the 40 days period, God spoke to Ezra thus, the 24 books of the Holy Scriptures thou shalt publish, for the worthy and the unworthy alike to read, but the last 70 books thou shalt withhold from the populace, for the perusal of the wise of thy people. On account of his literary activity, he is called the scribe of the science of the Supreme Being unto all eternity. 50. Having finished his task, Ezra was removed from this mundane world, and he entered the life everlasting. But his death did not occur in the Holy Land. It overtook him at Khuzestan, in Persia, on his journey to King Artaxerxes. At Raxia, in Mesopotamia, there stood, as late as the 12th century, the synagogue founded by Ezra when he was journeying from Babylonia to Palestine. At his grave, over which columns of fire are often seen to hover at night, 53, a miracle once happened. A shepherd fell asleep by the side of it. Ezra appeared to him and bade him tell the Jews that they were to transport his bier to another spot. If the master of the new place refused assent, he was to be warned to yield permission, else all the inhabitants of his place would perish. At first the master refused to allow the necessary excavations to be made. Only after a large number of the non-Jewish inhabitants of the place had been stricken down suddenly, he consented to have the corpse transported thither. As soon as the grave was opened, the plague ceased. Shortly before the death of Ezra, the city of Babylon was totally destroyed by the Persians. There remained but a portion of the wall which was impregnable by human strength. 54. All the prophecies hurled against the city by the prophets were accomplished. To this day, there is a spot on its site which no animal can pass unless some of the earth of the place is strewn upon it. 55.